Welcome to another episode of Culinary School Stories, the weekly podcast that is dedicated to sharing the stories of people around the globe whose lives have been influenced, impacted, touched, and or enriched, for good or for bad, from their culinary school experience. Hi, my name is Colin Roach, and I'm your host. Thanks for joining us today. You are an important part of this show, where we ask the question, what's your culinary school story? So now, without any further delay, let's meet today's guest. Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening in to another episode of the Culinary School Stories podcast, a proud member of the Food Media Network. Now, before we start the show, I wanted to first give a big thank you to all of you who have financially supported this podcast. We really appreciate your help. And for those of you who haven't yet, if you like this show, maybe this episode, and or our YouTube video clips that we make and send out, why not show your support too by buying us a cup or two of coffee to help defray some of the out-of-pocket expenses? And you can do this in one of two ways. As an individual, you can either go to www.buymeacoffee.com/chefroach or through Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/drprofessorchef. If you contribute just the price of a cup of coffee a week, $2, $3, $4, you will be helping to support the hosting, the purchasing, the creation, the production of our episodes and shows that we produce and give away for free every day. And if you're a business or company that's interested in advertising or sponsoring this podcast, please contact us at culinaryschoolstories@gmail.com, and we would be happy to send you out our rate sheet. Okay, so now back to this week's episode. My guest today is not only a culinary school graduate, but is currently a culinary arts instructor. He is also a certified member of the American Culinary Federation. So now let's meet today's guest, Chef Samuel Spencer. Sam, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on and sharing your culinary school story with the listeners.
All right, thanks for having me.
Great. Well, it's happy to have you here. And let's jump right into that first question. What got you into culinary school? What got you into this industry? What got you into cooking? Where'd that passion, that influence come from?
Well, that influence started with my grandmother at the age of 6 years old. She growing up, in a household with her, she always was cooking and things like that. So it slowly enters my passion to follow her steps into the kitchen. And one of the first things that we cooked together was grits.
Oh, wow. So you must be a grit cooking expert now. Do you put like shrimp in it and cheese? And what's your favorite grit recipe?
Well, I'm a fan of grits. So, that was one of the first things I cooked and started in the kitchen. So, I like maybe like a garlic gonzola grits or something like that. Oh,
wow. Wonderful. So you started with your grandmother, family influence, and then kind of took off on that. What did you do? Did you get a job first, or you decide I'm going right into culinary school? How did that? Take us through that story.
Okay, at the time, I started off in the industry. I started my first food service job was KFC when I was in high school, and at that time I didn't really, think about culinary school. Or, thought about pursuing it serious, but throughout the years, throughout that year working in fast food, it's like something I can see myself doing. I want to, move to another job. Then that's when I started the first commercial kitchen I started with the Springhill Medical Center.
Great. So you went to the medical, and what part of this exactly? When did you end up going to culinary school, and where did you go?
I actually started going to culinary school a little later, around the age of 23, and I went to Bishop State Community College in Mobile, Alabama. And while along working in the healthcare industry, kind of pushed me into the culinary arts school, and with some of the professors and chefs there was graduates of the school, and gave me advice to move on and go.
Awesome. Now, was that a 2-year program? Was that an associate's degree, a certificate? How was that? What was that?
It's a 2-year culinary program.
And how many students were in your class? They have like a typical class of 20, or was it less, more?
Yeah, at that time we probably had a typical class maybe of 20 to 25 students, and total program was probably right around 100 students in the program total at that time.
So your first day, take us back to that day. Reflect. What happened? You're going on. I'm sure you're excited. You're like, all right, this is my new career. But same time, there's got to be some nerves happening there. Tell us what was going through your mind.
Yes, my first day, throughout working in the industry and working at the hospital with past graduates of the school, I was familiar with the instructors and kind of, knew who the instructors were. But my first day, I had the instructor, Chef Herman Packer at the time, Chef Henry Douglas, and also Chef Lockwood. And yeah, my first day walking to the culinary arts class, it was a little frightening at first, not knowing exactly what I was walking into, and probably working in the industry and going to the classroom with like a two different levels. Because like I say, well, I know I was doing this every day, but once I was into an educational setting, I didn't really know what to expect. But I mean, right on, I knew this was the industry for me. My instructors, my mentors, they just grabbed me and just I loved it. It was no turning back after that. So, once I started in school and kind of started getting my foot wet, it was the right decision to make. I should have went sooner.
Good. And tell us about the academic part, because that's usually a challenge for some people. They go to culinary school and they can conquer the labs. The cooking part comes naturally, especially if they have experience. But what about the academic part? Tell us about those classes.
Yes, when it got down to the academic part, actually, like I said, prior to going to school, I was already in the industry maybe 6 years at the time. And I was hearing the chefs and cooks around the kitchen saying boiled pans, sauté pans, talking about different sauces. And once I got into culinary arts school, I was like, okay, that's what they're talking about. And when I started learning the professional terminology of the kitchen of the luce sauces and cream sauces, the mother sauce and mother season. So, I was in the atmosphere every day working and hearing professionals talk. And I was like, well, I want to learn that. So they said, well, you need to go to culinary school. I was like, you got to go to culinary school to cook. At first I was like, I don't need it, but once I got into school and started learning, and that was the best thing I ever made after today. So I'm glad I made the decision to get on in there.
And you also learn some of the management and human resources and the costing, the financial part of the industry. So those are usually pretty helpful too, huh?
Yes, because at the time I was currently working in healthcare. At that time, once I got into some of the dietary management class, nutrition class, that kind of helped me at an everyday aspect of learning, different calories, different diets and things that sort. So it actually helped me on every. So like one side helped the other, because I was working every day and I was going to school, so I was getting educated and working. So like it was like if I wasn't in the classroom, I was in the lab. If I wasn't in the lab, I was at work. So, but it was truly enjoyable.
Now, did you have a favorite class out of all the ones that you took, lab class or academic? Was there a favorite in there that you enjoyed? And if so, why?
Yeah, I would say my favorite class was advanced meal prep. That's where, you kind of just learning how to actually put a meal together, actually make menus and things like that. So, it kind of helped me, balance out menus and help putting plates together and things like that.
Great. You got any stories from culinary school? What happened there? Anything happen? Anyone get cut? Anyone pass out? A lot of times that happens. They're tired. They're working too many jobs, or anything else happen? Any stories you got?
Well, I say with a story with me in the culinary arts school, I guess, it was like between going to school and working days and working nights. One day in the lab, I was in one of the kitchens, and I was kind of got smoked out because it maybe had about 67 people working in the kitchen. And I went to open the window, and when I went to open wind the window, my hand went through the window, so I actually ended up cutting myself.
Oh no! So it was too smoky, and you had to open the window to get some ventilation in there, and it broke. Wow.
Yeah, so in a hurry of trying to get some ventilation in the kitchen, I was made a mistake. My hand slipped and my hand went through the window. So I had started it wasn't so I a little cut, but I got bandaged up and got back at it. And I kind of look back at that as a learning moment where you can't rush and doing things. You have to kind of slow it down.
Your instructor probably looked at you like, that window opens. You don't have to punch a hole in it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of. I feel like, well, first thing he said, well, were you okay? He said, go to the nurses, get bandaged up, and come back. So about an hour later, I came back to class, finished up my day, and that's kind of a moment I look back, and I still have the pictures in one of my phones that I kind of look at every now and then.
How about a worse class? Is any one of them you didn't like? It was like, I don't like that class for whatever reason.
It's one of those things that, once I started school, I learned to love all the classes. So, I really enjoy each and every class. So I can't look back and say I didn't enjoy any of them. But, I learned so much from each class because, once I got there, the light bulb came on and it's just been uphill from there.
Perfect. Anything you wish you knew before you got there? Once you got into the program, you got into school, and you're like, wow, this might have been helpful had I known this before I started.
Yeah, I say one thing, with working full time and going to school, if I would just slow down a little bit and maybe, wish I would have had more time in culinary school, because I really had a passion for it. But, like I say, working and going to school full time, yeah, just balance that out. So if I would have started earlier, but everything worked out for the best.
So you encourage people to start young, go if you can, if they have the resources to get involved, maybe right after high school.
Yeah, that'll be a good fit. But a lot of times, then with the mental immaturity, I'm kind of glad I did wait till I was a little older because, I didn't have the desire coming out of high school for culinary school. Cooking was a passion always, but I didn't know the level of what I can do. So, once I got to school, I learned about the different brigade system. I learned about, the educating chefs and things like that. And got introduced to the American Culinary Federation. So I think, waiting a little while I mature, it helped me out to be able where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's true, because if you go too young and you're not ready, you're not mature enough, you're not professional, you're not really going to get the most out of it, your return on your investment. I went to culinary school after already being a chef, but I knew I needed to go and get that piece of paper, and I thought I already knew it all because I knew how to do it. I just didn't know why I was doing it. Someone told me how to do it, but I didn't understand the foundation behind it. And culinary school was such a value for that, because with that understanding, you can grow so much further.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I looked at it. Like I say, working every day in a professional kitchen, with that different levels in it, just hearing the talk and seeing the talk, and like, wow, I and just seeing other professionals around me, and that pushed me because the Sous Chef was a prior graduate of school, several of the cooks at the time graduated from the school, and like I said, it was like 6 years after high school that I went to culinary school, but I was working in the industry. And it's one of those things where, I was hearing about my instructors from my coworkers and things. So they were like, well, you need to go. So one day the sous chef say, Sam, I schedule you a permanent with Chef Packer. Go over there and talk to him because you really need to go to school. I see something in you. And that was a push right there.
Wow, what a great sous chef.
Yeah. And that was Chef Ellen Jones at the time at Springhill Medical Center.
Wow, passing it on, helping those coming behind us to, help them introduce them to the career and, make it a full-time career, professional for them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you graduated, you worked in the field, and then you became an instructor, right? You were at Alabama Community College, and now you're at the Guided Discoveries. So how is it different now in culinary school compared to when you went? Do you see any differences in the students today? Are they the same? Well, tell us a little bit about the comparison, pros and cons of both.
I think now you're seeing more students kind of jumping in right after culinary school, because with most of the high schools having programs now currently in my area, so like the high schools now are doing more of hospitality and culinary programs, so the students are actually getting some kind of early push to go into the technical side of things like that. So and that's great. And I think you see like a mix of both. So at my time at the community college, it was a mixture of students coming in out of high school. Or you might have had some students a little older that's been in the industry for years and finally want to go back and get a degree or get a certification to help themselves prolong in their career. So you kind of get like a mixture of both, to where you may have some students coming in early, you have some students a little up in age that now know they need to come back and get their degree and things like that, and also some military coming in, getting their degree and using some of their military loans and things like that, to kind of do something in between. So because the hospitality, and one thing you have to kind of look at is, like now I can say, me has been in the industry for a while now, that I can really say, the hospitality industry is broad. So it's not just, a chef anymore or being a cook. You got the production side, you got the personal chef, you have the catering, and you have different facets of things that you can do and the students can see about, being a photographic chef or being, different things like that. So I think the industry is growing to where you're not stuck in one spot of saying, yes, I like hospitality, yes, I like cooking, but I know I don't want to be in the kitchen every day cooking. So you need to try to see what can you do inside that area besides cooking every day. So it's the front of the house and things like that.
Yeah, it's so true what you mentioned about the high schools today. I mean, when I was coming up through, they didn't have these type of programs they have now, these feeder programs. I mean, like in Florida here, we have the Pro Start, from the National Restaurant Association, Florida Restaurant Association and Lodging, and they really, have great programs at the secondary level. And then when they come into the post-secondary, the college level, they're so much more prepared than students in the past because they already have a lot of that foundation, that basis. Do you have a lot of traditional students in your program? Do they come right out of high school? Where do you get your students from currently?
Yeah, most of the students come directly out of high school, or say like a co-op program to where they actually are already, say like they're a junior, senior in high school. They can start their college course. So they may come out to the college maybe once or twice a week to start taking college courses. And once they graduate, they may have a semester and things like that to where they familiar with the college, familiar with the instructor, where they move on from there and actually kind of pushing to go. And some of you are pushing to go and take their work on their bachelor's, do their 4 years. So because once now it's like if you can get into the apprentice program or the co-op program, you're pretty much halfway through your 2-year program, and you can kind of see if you want to take it to the next level, maybe go into the hospitality management side of things.
Awesome. Great. So what is one myth that your students come into classes with or come into the school, that they believe something that you have to, say, no, it's not really like that. Let me clarify. Let me, enlighten you to what it's really like. What myth might that be?
I guess, just trying to, not thinking it, not coming in, not knowing it all, and knowing that it's going to be a process, and it's in the instant gratification. Sometimes today, they kind of see the internet and TV, think, I can be this celebrity chef, I can be this, restaurateur, where, you seeing the end of their results, but this may have been 20, 30 years in the working. Yeah, yes, there's opportunity there, but you got to learn the basics of the fundamentals before you can be that chef, and things like that. So I guess it's just trying to slow them down and say, well, I'm not trying to kill your dream, but let me help pursue your dream. Right.
Yeah. Great. Do they already have their favorite chefs picked out when they come in? Do they have their, their celebrity chefs that they want to emulate or want to be like?
Yeah, I guess with the networks and things like that, a lot of students come in with the mindset of, I want to be, I like Gordon Ramsay, or I like Bobby Flay and things like that, and so it has just, kind of like say, hey, I understand that, but let's talk about the basics of sauteing, and kind of bring the academics to them and say, and help them out.
Yeah, get the foundations first, get the basics down, and then go from there. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, I was reading on your bio and stuff, you talk a little bit about mentorships, mentors, mentees. Could you speak to that? I mean, did you have a mentor, mentee, and how do you, bring that into your classroom now with your students?
Yes, I can say with me, yes, I had several mentors, and still, have them today, to where, it was my past culinary arts instructor. So, coming into the industry, throughout the American Culinary Arts Federation, we had a local chapter where, we were actually seeing these chefs and things like that. So I have several, at the time, Chef Herman Packer, Chef Henry Douglas, Lawrence Goldsmith, and so it's just a mixture of those chefs. And then, with going to school and actually, meeting some of their mentors and, and things like that. So it's just like a chain reaction to where, a mentor and mentorship is important, because you have to have someone that you can talk to if you get frustrated. You have to have someone that can understand you, and knowing someone that went through your passion and background, that's kind of the best person that you can kind of talk to and reach out to without just crashing and burning.
How do you think students today, or young people, or someone just starting out in this industry, can get a mentor? How can they be a mentee? How would you advise them to pursue that?
I'll say the best thing is just, just by communicating and networking. And, you say you got a mentor, so you have to just look into that person, see if they can be saying one thing, but if they actually showing it. So, when you say a mentor or mentee, you want to make sure that they are actually showing the role that you're looking for and have some familiarity in the area that you're looking for. So, if you're looking for that pastry chef, or you're looking for that executive chef, or you think that's the way you want to go, you want to kind of get on somebody's coattail and just ask them and be honest with them and let them know, hey, I don't mind, if you got an hour you can spend with me, if you got 10 minutes you can spend with me, I just want to learn what you're doing.
Good. Yeah, definitely seek out someone that, is a good match for you, that's going to, help you and make it, worthwhile. Now, you mentioned American Culinary Federation. Could you speak to that and how important it is to you, professional organizations? And maybe you could even talk about certifications and how important that is in a young culinarian's career.
Yeah, I'll say, once you decide to say go to that college level, you pretty much being committed. So, and saying with the American Culinary Arts Federation, and speaking for myself, has been a tremendous push for my career. And, just being able to have those resources and different people you can reach out to, and just at local and national level that you can help, and help yourself grow with your local chapter members. And that brings a lot of mentors. You can get through that and getting out doing community events and community things like that. And also, and once you say you want to get to the certification thing like that. So, I mean, the best thing you can do to invest in yourself is to become certified and be that certified chef, because, that's something that you earn, and that credential goes with you. And for as employment, that'll be a good look for to get a good employment and have things like that. So not just say I'm a chef, I'm an executive chef, but yes, I'm a certified whatever type of chef, and that stands out in the industry.
Great. And you're certified now with the American Culinary Federation and belong to a local chapter?
Yes, I'm with the ACF Gulf Coast chapter, and that's a local chapter, and we have roughly around 60 members throughout our chapter, and it's Mobile, and we merged with the Pensacola, and Mobile is kind of merged together with that membership program.
And for someone that doesn't know what happens at a local American Culinary Federation meeting, which is monthly, what tell them some things that you might have at your local chapter. Could someone expect? What would they find when they came to one of those meetings?
All right, the experience you find at local chapters, we invite the high schools, we invite the colleges out, we invite the industry out, to where we try to put a mix together to where if someone looking for a job, is someone from the industry there, if someone looking for education aspect, someone in education there. So it's pretty much just like a meeting to where we can gather and help out with job placement and help out with educational placement, and all come together and just, talk about industry, talk about professionalism, talk about growth, and just try to just do what we can to help one another out, get to the next level in their career, and promote and each and every one and support.
There's a lot of networking there too, so they could find, employment and.
Oh yes, yeah, and that go back to the mentor and mentee, where if would come to one of those meetings, you can pretty much see all types of chefs, and all chefs come from different areas. If you want, in that way, you can be able to kind of reach them and get to them. So you may have missed them at school, you may have missed them at a restaurant, but you can pretty much catch them at a meeting where you have time to sit down and talk to them.
Yeah, you can bypass human resources, all those other hurdles they put in the way, and you're sitting right next to the chef right there. You can get that job.
And, and like I say, and a lot of times, chefs want to reach out and give to them, but like sometimes with different jobs and dealing with human resource, you can't get them in their workplace, but you may have to try to catch them outside the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. What do you think is next for culinary school? What do you think culinary school is going in the future? You're in there every day now. I'm sure you've seen changes, particularly with this pandemic. What do you see our school industry going?
From just from experience and what things are now, even with the state we're at today with the pandemic, to where things are kind of limited and virtual, but you have to be a little more creative. So I think more than ever. So even if you can't get your students in the lab each and every day, you may have to do what we so-called like a virtual lab. But at the same time, is you still have to find a way to reach each and every student. So you may can't do the 10 to 15 student lab now, so you might have to break down to 3 or 5. But with the PPE and things, like, so you have to just kind of, as an educator, as a professional, find out how can I still educate and reach my students or reach my workers and be that leader for them. So I think with the future, I think it's more virtual, and what things people thought maybe you couldn't do or learn in culinary, you can do that now. So you can't say yes, it's good to be in a physical lab each and every day. But now we're seeing that we can do a virtual lab and get a good outcome of every student.
Great. Yeah, that's so true. I think it's, with this pandemic, hopefully it passes as soon as possible. So, you can get back to the way at least it was with the training and that hands-on. But until that happens, we'll all make do.
That's it. Like I said, that's one thing we learn in hospitality. You got to roll with the punches.
That's right. You got to be adaptable.
Yeah.
So who are the three people who have been the most influential to you? Could be for personal reasons, professional reasons. They could have been, in the past or, someone that's no longer with us. But tell us three people that were the most influential to you.
Okay, I would say, for just giving me the passion. I say it's my grandmother. That's from my introduction to the kitchen. And I would say once getting into culinary arts school and seeing a professional chef and seeing an actual educator, that'll be Chef Herman Packer and Chef Henry Douglas. That was two of my culinary arts teachers at the time I was in culinary arts school. Just seeing two mentors, seeing two men just actually just like, wow, I didn't know this is this, and introducing me to the professional side of everything. And I would say in the industry now, I would say, for now, when I look at, say, professionalism and going into, say, like looking at the professional side of things, and as a chef, I would say Chef Kimberly Bach Brown, as of now seeing what she is doing within the American Culinary Arts Federation as a woman and leading the organization. So that's about it.
Great. Those are great choices. What is one big challenge you faced when you were in culinary school, and what lesson did you learn from it?
I'll say, I guess the one challenge I faced in culinary school was, like, say, to slow down and listen to your instructors, because like I say, because you have that itch of, I really want it, but then again you can be wanting it so bad till you're not paying attention, you're not taking it all in till you're missing something. So you have to just say, yes, this is a bit interests me, but let me listen and let me listen to my instructor, let me listen to my teacher, let me listen to my chef, so I can get understanding. And yes, things may be repetition, but repetition is good because you're learning it. So it was truly, I had to truly learn patience.
Patience.
Yes, patience, yeah.
So important. So now you have some perspective. You've been out of school for a while. Looking back, would you do it all again with all the cost and the time and working those shifts with working in the industry and having to learn all these things? Would you do it again?
Looking back at everything and, like, say, school work and balancing everything out, that was the best years of my life, honestly, hands down. I mean, because it matured me, it made me the man I am today, and just that it was fun. I mean, I was doing something that I didn't know that could be this rewarding, and I'm looking back, say, maybe 8 to 10 years down the line, and saying, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it hands down.
So what's next for you? What do you see yourself in the next short-term year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? What is your big plans?
Well, my big plan is, I'm a big advocate of education. So, pursue certification, pursue bigger dreams. So, I just want to I like to do things to get bigger and better each and every day. So continue to do my community work and give back to the next generation of chefs.
Thinking about something abstract here, a tool. What's your favorite tool? If you had to have one tool, say you're going to be stranded on an island somewhere and you can only bring one tool with you, or if you're going into a kitchen and you got to bring one, do you have a favorite what piece of equipment?
I would say my favorite piece of equipment, if you had to have one piece of equipment for the kitchen, I think that'd be beneficial. I'd say a chef knife. Yeah, I can pretty much use that all around.
Yeah, it's one we use the most, so definitely that's a good one. Are there any books that you would recommend to your students? Anything you've read or maybe listened to or recently that inspired you? Something you would recommend to listeners? Like this is a good resource for you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like say in the education, it's just teaching to me just the basis of just looking at the professional cooking book or our own cooking book and more of the fundamental side of things, and looking at, and then with the American Culinary Apprenticeship book is pretty helpful when you try to move on to certification and training and that aspect. So I know, like I said, just trying to stick into the basics and things like that, and just knowing the history, and that's why I tell people, like, if you don't know the history of what you're trying to do, you'll never know the end result. So you gotta kind of tell them the history of culinary art and where, and kind of break it down to the basics, to the 1800s and things like that, to where they can get a pretty aspect of where it's going.
Yeah, so true. The history. You got to know where you've been before you know where you're going.
And let them know that, like the French cuisine, the basis of that, and how everything kind of balance off that. So, and once and that's the orientation of food service.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours, maybe contemplating going to culinary school, entering into, the culinary world, the kitchen? What advice would you give them?
I'll say anything you want to invest your time and money and do your research on. So once you get there, you'll have some aspect of what you really want to do it yourself. But if your heart and true desire, you just have to just move forward and try it out. And it's going to be mistakes, it's going to be ups and downs, but you have to find a balance for your life and for your career.
Very good. What are some of the downfalls of our industry? Where are some of the pitfalls, the things you want to stay away from, the things that hopefully we could change someday? You have any advice on that? Anything you contribute to that?
Yes, what I try to tell some culinarians is, you're in the industry that's 7 days a week and pretty much 24 hours a day. So somewhere you can eat 24 hours a day. So, and I say, the time that some people are enjoying their holidays and birthdays, we're the ones that are making it happen. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, and things like that, you may be in the kitchen working. So you got to think about, how do I want to balance out my livelihood with my career? And sometimes this career do take a lot from your livelihood. So you got to understand, okay, well, my Christmas is going to be with my working colleagues. My Thanksgiving is going to be with my work family. And things like that. Yeah, so that's one thing I had to learn, and you and your staff come together closer like that. When you work through those holidays and birthdays, you make a true bond with one another.
Yes, true. One of the downsides that you often hear about our industry is substance abuse and, mental health issues and, depression. Can you speak to that and maybe shed light from your perspective on it?
Yeah, I guess one of those old triggers that's in the kitchen that sometimes you're in a professional kitchen. You may have a bar, you may have the alcohol, and it's easy to reach over there and get and try to get throughout your day if you're working at 10 or 14 or you're doing double. So sometimes people try to do the substance abuse and may lean to that side just to try to get throughout the day, just dealing with depression or just well, I'm working so much, I'm trying to ban it with this, I'm trying to ban it with that, to where you have to just have a level head and strong mind to where well, yes, it's demanding, but I'm not going to lean out to these out things to kind of take me through it.
Have you seen anything in your career, like working in the industry, around those things? Did you see? Because I know some people talk about there's harassment, there's bullying, maybe some discrimination, or especially with the female males. Have you seen anything from your experience?
I guess a lot of times coming throughout the industry or coming throughout the ranks, you're exposed to all those things, and some things personally I have been through, but you just can't let it deter you from getting to where you want to be. So you have to just push through it and move. So it's one of those things that yes it happened, yes it existed, but I gotta keep my mind sharp. I gotta keep my eye on the prize and make it to the next stage of my career.
If one of your students was having this type of issue, how do you advise them? What would you tell them to do?
The best thing to do is, if you experience any of those things while in the workforce or even in the educational force, you want to make sure that you communicate with someone, let them know what's going on, and don't try to bottle it in, because if you try to hold that problems in, that's when it leads to the substance abuse. That's when it leads to the depression. So, once these things occur, document it and let someone know. And don't try to hide it. Don't think it's going to go away overnight. You have to just keep on pushing and let someone help you.
And what about the sometimes stereotype chef that's yelling and screaming and throwing pots and pans? Did you see any of that? And how do you take that in your own career? And how do you advise students about that?
Yes, early in my career, I had several chefs that had that screaming or had that throwing place, spitting your food out and doing things like that, but like I said, yes, it hurt you at the time, but it makes you a stronger person. So, if you've been through that, that's not my management or my professional skills. The way, I'm here to help you. I'm here to coach you. I'm not here to deter you. So a lot of times, if you got that chef that's howling, throwing things, or, just being, the derogatory in the kitchen, sometimes that, push you away from him and you don't have the relationship. So I say, okay, yes, you may have done something wrong, but let me educate you on how to correct that. Let me show you how to do the correct way and do the correct method, and not just say, it's wrong and can't tell me how to fix it.
Good advice. Yeah, we don't have to be Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah. And a lot of times you have HR announced, so you can't do too much of that.
Is there a question I should have asked that I didn't? Is there anything that I may have missed that you want to talk about?
I think we kind of covered everything. And if you have anything, I'm open to. If you have any other questions, no problem.
Does your students do a lot with social media? Are they involved in that? I mean, I know it's really big in our industry now. Instagram, Facebook pages, YouTube channels. Are they? Do you see that in your area?
Yeah, a lot of times, the social media and different things are really taking off, and the students kind of lean towards that. So you have to just kind of just make sure, you may check it out and see what they have going on, but you don't want to get too involved in it with things right now. But it's pretty much the kind of going things where they kind of display some of their creations and things like that. So, it's kind of their outlet to kind of communicate and show off their work and pride and joy.
Do they take pictures of their plates and what they've created and post those?
Yeah. You have a lot of students take pictures of their plates and post it, and that's kind of giving them a little bragging rights of what they've done for the day.
Share it with their family, friends, the world.
Yeah, that's it. So that's definitely that kind of give them a little instant gratification and fame.
Yeah, it's the world.
Yeah.
Okay, as we come to the end of our chat today, and before we wrap up, is there any last-minute advice or guidance that you want to leave with the listeners? Something you want to share with them before we close?
Yes, I'll say one I want to share is, with a culinary or professional, I mean, you're coming into the industry is so broad right now to, dream big and try to just don't settle for less. Don't take mediocre. There's so much you can do. So while you have the youth and your strength to try to get further as you can, because you're not going to always be as young, you're not going to always be as strong. So try to reach your pinnacle as quick as you can so you can enjoy it.
Great advice. Well, that is just about all the time we have for this episode. And I want to first thank you, Sam, for coming on the show today and sharing your culinary school story with all of us and the listeners. We really appreciate your time, your insight, and your honesty.
All right. Thanks for having me. Glad to be a part of this episode. Looking forward to many more.
Great. Thanks again. I enjoyed our chat. Bye-bye now.
All right. Take care.
And a big thanks and appreciation also goes out to all of you, the listeners. We hope you enjoy the show and this episode. You all are a big part of this show, so please let us know what you think. Your comments are always welcome, and they help us in making the best show possible. You can email them to culinaryschoolstories@gmail.com. That's culinaryschoolstories@gmail.com. Or even leave us a voicemail at area code 207-835-1275. That's area code 207-835-1275. And if you like the show, we have a big ask of all of you, and that is to share the podcast with everyone you know and to give us a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Okay, until our next Culinary School Story, take care and be well. Bye-bye. Culinary School Stories is a proud member of the Food Media Network.